Hello! Mainit na pagbati muli sa inyong lahat sa mga hot M&Ms ni Mama, Miss at Mrs. na nanonood sa ngayon. Welcome sa ating pangatlong episode ng Club M na pinamagatang IkeMbot Mo! At ako po si Toy, ang inyong host, at ito po ang Club M. Nabanggit natin sa ating pangalawang episode na ang mga simptomas ng menopause tulad ng depresyon at anxiety o labis na pag-aalala ay maiibsan sa pamamagitan ng regular na ehersisyo. Paano kaya ito magagawa? Paano ang tamang ehersisyo para sa mga menopausal o perimenopausal women? Ano ang ating dapat tandaan? Sa kabutihang palad, ang ating panauhin ay napakatinik sa kaalaman tungkol sa tamang pag-ehersisyo. At siya ay magbibigay linaw sa mga yan. Sa muli, mga hot M&Ms, aming inaanyayahan kayong lahat na isulat ang inyong katanungan at komento sa ating Club and Facebook group at sa ating Club M YouTube channel. Ngayon na, sapagkat na-pick up namin yan, sasagutin namin yan live. Pero bago yan, ating i-welcome muli ang aking napaka-supportive na kaibigan at miga na co-host, si Miss Mariglo Iloa Lariri. Hello, Marigs!
At ikinagagalak ko na ako'y naatasan muli na magpakilala ng ating natatanging panauhin, our very, very special guest for tonight. Like our previous guest, in our previous episode, our guest tonight is also not a stranger to me and Dr. Poy. Ang katunayan ay kaibigang matalik namin siya. At itong pagiging magkaibigan na ito ay dumarating na siguro sa mga halos 40 anyos, matagal na, no? So, that means that we're quite comfortable with each other, but it also means that it only shows that we are still learning from each other and about each other, and I continue to be in awe of this person. Sa kanyang mga na-accomplish sa buhay, ako'y talagang nagagalak at sabi ko nga siya isang game changer. At malalaman ninyo kung bakit nasabi ko ito kapag napakinggan ninyo ang kanyang sharing, no, sa atin ngayong gabi. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Marla Frances Mallari, Molly to all of her friends. She is an associate professor and chair of the Department of Sports Science at the University of the Philippines, Diliman College of Human Kinetics. Si Molly ay meron siyang Bachelor of Science in Food Technology and a Master's in Science in Human Movement Science from the University of the Philippines, also in Diliman, and completed her PhD in Sports Science from Mahidol University in Thailand. So isa po siyang doktora, o, di ba? Kaya pwede natin siyang tawaging Doc Molly rin, di ba? She is a member of the Exercise is Medicine Philippines National Advisory Council and a co-founding member of the Sports Nutrition Association of the Philippines. She is also the academic advisor of Gatorade Sports Science Institute Philippines. So, friends, please help me bid welcome Doc Molly Francis Mallari.
Hi! Hi, Marigs! Hi, Poy! Thank you so much for that introduction. No? Totoo, matagal na tayong magkakaibigan, almost 40 years. No? And I hope, sa pagkakaalam nyo naman, talagang I have always been into physical activity, no? And sports, even way back in high school, no? Kung kailan tayo nagkakilala. So when I was asked by Poy and Marigs to do this talk, no, so kinagagalak ko talagang i-share sa inyo, no, yung mga pagkakaalam ko, being also exposed to yung exercises medicine, advocacy, no, ma-share ko sa inyo para baka meron kayong mapulot na mabuting aral tungkol sa menopause at ehersisyo. Okay. So, okay. Next slide, please. Alright, so ito po yung mga pag-uusapan natin ngayong hapon. Unang-una, ano ba yung mga physiological changes that menopausal women undergo that may affect movement? Pangalawa, how can exercise help in menopause? Pangatlo, ano ba yung mga limitations? Ano yung dapat gawin at ano yung hindi dapat gawin? And of course, lastly, some exercise recommendations. May kasama na rin some tips, no? Na ipapakita ko rin sa inyo mamaya. Okay? So, start po tayo sa different pathophysiological mechanisms for menopause-related health problems. So, meron tayong apat no, na menopause-related health problems that may be related to movement. And ang pinakauna at pinaka-importante dito ay changes in body composition. Okay, so alam po natin na habang yun na nga, tumatanda na tayo at umabot tayo sa age ng menopause, mabilis tayong mag-gain ng weight at mahirap pong tanggalin yung weight na nag-gain natin. Nung mas bata tayo, sabi natin, konting diet, konting exercise, babalik na kayo dun sa dating weight niyo. Pero ngayon, pag nandun na kayo sa age na yon, no, the menopausal period, mas mahirap na. And this is basically because of the hormones na medyo nababawasan na sa katawan natin. And sabihin ko na po kung ano yung culprit, baka alam nyo na rin. Yun yung estrogen. So low estrogen levels, no, ay nakaka-influence ng deposits ng fatty tissues natin and decreased fat oxidation processes, no. Tapos napupunta pa sa central area natin, no, yung contribute to central adiposity. So yung mga tiyan, yung lumalaki, no. So related din yun to low estrogen levels, no, and increased cortisol. Pag-uusapan din natin yung ibang hormones related to this later. Yun. So bawas din po, no, possibly because of less physical activity, bawas yung lean body mass o itinatawag nating muscles natin. No? So bawas yung muscles natin. Kaya since mas mataas mag-burn ng calories ang ating mga muscles, pag nababawasan yun, mas marami din tayong nasustore na energy. So mostly in the form of fat. So next slide please. Ang susunod na pag-uusapan ay cardiovascular disease. So closely related din po siya sa body composition na naman, alam naman po natin pagka tumataas yung ating mga yung pumapangit yung lipid profile natin, it could influence yung tumataas yung risk natin for cardiovascular disease. Okay, pangatlo ay vasomotor symptoms. So, during time of menopause, before and even after, pwedeng maka-experience nung tinatawag nating hot flushes or night sweats, no? So, yung ability natin to control ang thermoregulation ng katawan natin, no? Dahil affected ang hypothalamus natin, nakaka-experience tayo ng discomfort dahil dito. So, attributed rin siya sa low estrogen levels. Okay, so next. And then we have, of course, osteoporosis. So, related also to estrogen deficiency. Pag nagbe-break down yung ating bones, hihirapan ng bumalik, mag-reform, no? Age-related siya, could also be due to a decline in our physical activity. So, ang paglo-load po ng ating bones, no, nakakatulong siya sa bone formation. Of course, kasama na rin yung proper diet natin, no? That is rich in calcium and vitamin D. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later as well. Okay, so next, of course, no, the research, yes, has shown to us na exercise helps, no, in these menopause-related health problems, like in body composition. Nakakatulong, of course, ang exercise sa pag-increase ng muscle mass natin. Okay? So, natutulungan din tayo magkaroon ng caloric balance, possibly if we choose to have a negative caloric balance, makakatulong to sa pagbabas ng body weight natin and our body fat. Okay? And of course, importante yung pag-develop ng functional capacity by also developing our muscles, no? Strength and flexibility as well. And then, of course, no, pagdating sa cardiovascular disease, maraming risk factors na related to cardiovascular disease ang na-address ng exercise. Kasama na yung blood pressure, yung ating lipoprotein profile, LDL and HDL, no, and other heart disease biomarkers, no. It also helps in improving your glycemic control, enhancing the insulin sensitivity, at kung ano-ano pa. Napakadami. And then next, vasomotor symptoms, hindi po conclusive yung evidence about this. So, about the hot flashes and the night sweats, posibleng may effect o posibleng wala. So, although ang sinasabi nila is that yung domino hypothesis, which involves yung symptoms nga ito, nakakaistorbo daw ng tulog, okay? Pag kulang sa tulog, nagkakaroon ng bad mood, no? Yung mga menopausal women, no? Yung sinasabi nilang domino hypothesis, nare-reduce daw, no? Pagka active yung women. Okay? Pero hindi siya conclusive kasi hindi lahat ng research nagsasabi ng ganito. Okay? And of course, you have osteoporosis, no? Exercise improves bone mass, which in turn reduces the risk for fractures, no? Due to falls. Okay? Next slide, please. So ito yung mga ibang research na nakita ko about benefits of exercise in menopause. So some would say that the symptoms were more frequent among less active women, with a trend of increasing symptoms with decreasing activity. Although for this study, it could not determine if the women felt better because they were active, or the women were less active because they had symptoms. Okay, so importante din yon kasi of course, if you have not really been active for the past years, it is actually highly likely na meron ka ng symptoms na nararamdaman, especially if you also do not watch your diet, So, yung symptoms na yon, could also in turn cause you to not exercise, okay? And, the other symptoms, of non-communicable diseases could also come out. So, very similar for aerobic calisthenic exercises, may significant reductions, and less depressive mood and irritability. Ito yung mga positive na findings. And the last study here, because of increased physical activity, they were able to maintain a stable body weight, okay? And this reported an improvement in their quality of life. Okay, so menopause may provide a window of opportunity during which time women may be motivated to make lifestyle modifications, including increasing physical activity. Yan yung naging conclusion ng study na yan. Okay, so next. There's also, of course, the influence of hormones, and hormones that are related to stress. So cortisol increases hypoglycemia, obesity, physical and mental stress. Okay, so pag umaakyat yung cortisol levels natin, so this is known as our stress hormone, suppressed ng immune system, breakdown of protein is promoted, na i-inhibit din ang pag-create ng protein, at saka it decreases bone formation. Okay, so exercise also increases your endorphins, dopamine, adrenaline, and serotonin, which are brain chemicals associated with feeling happy, confident, and capable. So serotonin is also a chemical that contributes to stabilizing mood, well-being, and happiness. Okay, pag mababang serotonin, it is associated with depression, anxiety, and trouble sleeping. Okay, so nakita na natin, even when it comes to hormones, definitely exercise, ay nakakatulong. All right, so endorphins also here, are released, which acts as a natural painkiller, and you actually feel euphoric, after you exercise. Okay, so next. Ayun, we have shown, that there are many benefits to exercise and physical activity. Okay, but as we can see here in this small graph over there, yung percentage ng women, as they age, bumababa yung physical activity. Okay, so mababa yung aerobic, muscular, and aerobic and muscular activities, So pababa ng pababa. So there really is a need, for information about how exercise can help, kasi the symptoms, don't need really to be call this the women, do not have to be burdened, no, by these symptoms. At least makatulong, no, ang exercise para mabawasan ng mga symptoms na to. Okay, so next. All right, so yes, let's start with the exercise recommendations. The first one, no, before starting any, lalo na kung hindi kayo active masyado, is that safety, no, is of primary importance. So you have to start low. Ibig sabihin, mababa lang yung intensity, mababa lang yung frequency, no? Kung may reps and sets, mababa lang, and then go slow. So progression is important, pero kailangan mabagal lang, no? Para hindi nabibigla, no? So the rest of this slide tells us about the importance, no, of resistance training, no, and as well as aerobic exercise. Pag resistance, basically to increase your muscle and bone mass, no, promote strength for better functionality or functional capacity. Basically, aerobic exercise is for the reduction, no, of your cardiovascular disease risk. Okay, so a combination of these two would of course be okay. Any increase in the level of physical activity will already provide you your health benefits. Okay, so muscle strength, agility, balance will help reduce your fall risk. Okay, and osteoporosis, no, is very common among more elderly women, no? So dapat actually chine-check talaga natin ang bone mineral density natin, no, at least every year. So active weight bearing and strength training exercises, no, can help benefit bone health, no? So next slide, please. So here is what to do. So this is with regards to osteoporosis, no, or prevention, reducing the risk for osteoporosis. So nandyan yung recommendations for having a diet with plenty of calcium and vitamin D and engaging in weight-bearing exercises. So kung may access po kayo sa mga gym, ito yung list of exercises that they stated, no? Pero kung wala, meron po akong mga ibang recommendations that can also target, no, the same muscle groups, no, later on. So in each session of workout, at least 7 to 10 minutes of cardiovascular weight-bearing activity will also have benefits. So weighted walking, stair climbing, jogging, and the use of TheraBands and crucial balls. So alam na po siguro natin, no, kung ano yung stair climbing, ano yung jogging, pero ito ba yung weighted walking? So ito po yung naglalakad tayo. So marami po sa atin na nag-walking for exercise. Pwede pong magdala ng weights, like magsuot po kayo ng backpack, no? Nalagyan ng kung ano-ano ng bagay, mabibigat na libro, o kung bottles of water or bato, kung gusto nyo, para bumigat, no? Tapos, unti-unti lang naman kung ano yung makakarga nyo. So, it helps, no, dun sa paglo-load ng mga buto natin, which is beneficial for bone health. Okay, so intensity of the workout and level of training, kailangan progressive para so that it will really work. So 2 to 3 times a week, no, essential for success. Next. So ito pa, this is from the Department of Health, local. It is actually quite similar to what we have, you know, with the American College of Sports Medicine. Pare-pareho lang naman po sila. So for aerobic activity, 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes, kalahati, no, pag vigorous intensity. aerobic activity per week. Later on, define po natin kung ano ibig sabihin ng moderate intensity. Tapos for resistance or strength activity, 2 or more days per week. Lifestyle activity, every day. Ito yung mga gawaing bahay. No? Isama na natin ang gardening dyan at walking the dog, cleaning the house, cleaning the car, ganyan po. Balance activity for those over 50, no? It may be a concern for older adults as they age. And if one wanted to lose weight, kailangan mas madami din yung number of minutes na ginagawa per week. No? So increase to 250 per week, no? Even greater than 250 minutes may be needed to prevent weight gain. So next slide. So, yun yung examples lang po, pictures of mga activities na pwede natin gawin. As you can see, nandyan po yung dancing, no? Zumba, aerobic activity. And next slide, please. Ito yung mga examples of aerobic activities. Ito naman yung mga isometric at saka stretching, yoga, pilates, mga ganyan. So, hindi sila mas high impact, no? So baka pagka medyo mas matanda, no? It would even be better to start on this program. So ang tip lang po talaga is start slow, go slow. Okay, next po. So ito na yung mini-mention ko kanina about the intensity of the exercise. So in a scale of 1 to 10, ang moderate intensity exercise ay nasa 4, 5, 6. So examples dito is walking fast, no, doing water aerobics, riding a bike, leisurely pace, okay, general dancing. So those are some examples. And it means that you're working hard enough to raise your heart rate and break a sweat. Okay, so yung 4, 5, 6 po, it just says na parang you can still talk but are slightly breathless. So yun yung pang level 6. So dapat nakakapagsalita pa, no? Pero parang parang hindi ka na makakanta. Parang ganun. So yun po yung moderate intensity exercise. Right, next slide. So ito po yung some examples, yung model po ng for these exercises ay yung aking daughter, no? She does exercises at home almost on a daily basis. Okay? So yung may exercise po na to, ito yung kung hindi po kayo maka-access sa gym, no? These are recommended. And of course, start po ng kahit konting minuto lang ng just do a few counts to start with, no? Ang unang-una dito yung wall squat. So it looks easy pero pag trinay nyo po, medyo challenging din siya. So wag po kayo ma-frustrate kung ilang seconds pa lang ay masakit na. So just hold that position for a few seconds hanggang kaya, and then do a few sets. And then bukas ulit, you know, before you know it, nakakagawa na kayo ng 1 minute. So ganun lang po, progress slowly, no? Slow and sure, right? Next, yung squat. So we see the starting position and the ending position. So do about 10, no? And then progress to 15 or 20, no? 1 set first, and then you can progress to 2 or 3 sets. Next. So similarly, we have good mornings. Okay, so starting position and the ending position, same thing. And then you can do also the wall push-ups, no? If you cannot do the push-ups on the ground, no? So modified versions po yan of the push-ups. So same, do 10 first and then progress to 20. Do 1 set first and then you can progress until you can do 3. Okay, so next. So the half planks are demonstrated. You can also do full planks. That is very good for the core. So our core po natin is very important to strengthen the core. Kasi very useful po yan for a lot of the things that we do. So pag mahina po yung core, dyan din nag-arise yung mga back problems natin. No? And, challenged yung balance natin pagka, kunwari, medyo nadapa lang tayo o kaya biglang nadulas, mahina ang core, you could get injured. So next, you have the shoulder press, no? For the upper body in starting position and ending position. Okay, so pwede rin yang kung wala kayong weights, you can just hold on to some water bottles, no? Anything that have equal weight at your home, no? So you can do those exercises as well. Okay, so next. Yeah, that is a video, no? So maybe we can play it. This is an example of balance exercise. So maybe there's a play button at the bottom of it. So, okay. So if it can't be played, explain ko na lang kung ano yung activity na or exercise na ginawa niya. So, with the arms out, yung leg, no, you swing it forward, then you swing it backward, then swing it to the side, and then towards the other side. So, side to side. And then yung kabila naman. So, ang nangyayari dito is challenge mo yung balance mo because you're staying on one foot, no? And then you're trying to move your leg around. You're trying to shift your weight around. So, ang importante kasi doon, kung na-off balance ka, kaya mo ibalik yung body mo ulit, no, to the straight position. And trying to do it on one leg, no, is important kasi minsan 'di ba kaya tayo nadadapa kasi nga, no, on one leg biglang nadulas tayo o kaya nagkamali tayo ng step, no? So important na kaya natin ibalik yung sarili natin. So challenge niyo yun, gagawin din ng mabilis, pwedeng mabagal muna, and then mabilis ng pabilis para ma-strengthen yung surrounding muscles natin. Help our balance. Okay? Next. Yan. All right. So, with regards to physical activity, it is best no to try to find a training buddy, no? Kung meron kang partner o kung wala, kahit na friend, okay, na madadamay mo sa mga exercises na gusto mong gawin pag maglalakad ka. No? Listen to your body is very important also kasi we don't want to be doing too much too soon. Okay. For weight loss, go for a negative energy balance, no? An increase in physical activity, and also reduce your caloric intake, no? And do your measurements regularly, but not too often. Okay, what do I mean by measurements po? Ito yung, kunwari, ang measurement mo ay yung weight mo. Okay? Kung araw-araw ka nag-measure, baka mas frustrate pa po tayo sa simula. Kasi kung nag-gain po kayo ng muscle mass dahil nag-resistance exercise kayo, lalo kayo actually bibigat sa start. Okay? So, maganda po na allow your body to adjust to this, no? And pag mag-measurement kayo, wag niyong gawing araw-araw. Maybe weekly, maybe 2 times a week, maybe 2 times a week. Every other week, or after 3 weeks, or after a month, okay lang din po yun. So what is important is that nararamdaman nyo that you feel better. No? Actually, you can see, no? Even if you're increasing your weight, parang, bakit mas kasya na yung mga damit ko? So, ganun po, no? Mas importante. So, also be patient, no? And of course, galaw-galaw, araw-araw. So, on a daily basis po, no? Mas maganda. So, actually, meron hindi nasama dito yung the problem with the word the problem with regular exercise is the word regular. Okay? So, hindi naman siya exercise kasi lahat naman tayo, oy, nag-exercise naman ako. Okay? Pero regular ba? No? So, yun ang importante na araw-araw meron tayong ginagawa, gumagalaw tayo. So, that is the key, no, to exercising, making it a regular thing. Okay, next. All right, so this one, if you can't fit in 2, 5, 10, or 20 minutes, no, however and wherever you can, every minute will count. So, ito po yung advocacy po ng College of Human Kinetics. We actually have a Facebook page that you can visit. It's called SIPA in COVID. So, we set this up to help out those people who are working from home, no, to give them ideas. May mga exercises doon, just maraming information, infographics po about what you can do during the pandemic. So 2-minute physical activities every hour or short incidental physical activities, no, ang key, no, for this one. Okay, next slide, please. So that's more of what the advocacy is about. We're actually in partnership with PASOO, no, Filipino Society for the Study of Overweight and Obesity, as well as Exercises Medicine Philippines. So SIPA, short incidental physical activities such as dance, games, low intensity exercise activities, no, they can accumulate, no, so that makukuha nyo yung physical activity that is minimum, no, that we need for our daily activity, no, for our health. Okay, next. Okay, so importante din po tong tips of what not to do. So, especially kung medyo may edad na po tayo, no, high impact aerobics or activities where a fall is likely, no, pag slippery yung floors or doing a step aerobics, medyo iiwasan na po yan, no? Lalo na kung hindi tayo sanay sa ganyang klaseng activity. Okay, so lower impact na lang ang mas recommended. And then, para sa may mababa ang bone mineral density or may osteoporosis, avoid na rin yung mga activities that require repeated or resisted trunk flexion, such as sit-ups and toe touches. Kasi baka increase ng load sa spine natin. And then, third, learn to listen to your body, as mentioned a while ago. Make it a point not to ignore the signs of overwork, which may lead to major issues like heart attack and injury. Baka nasusobrahan na, masyado lang tayong determined. So, makinig po sa inyong katawan. And then, of course, doing too much, too soon, the key is to make exercise a positive experience, something that you will enjoy and a part, no, of your daily routine. No? So making it regular is more important. If you did too much, baka bukas plastado na, hindi ka na makapag-exercise ulit. So make sure to give your body enough time to rest pag medyo nasobrahan, and then pick up again, the following day. Okay, so next. All right, so to conclude, menopause is a time of change, no? May hormonal changes tayo, no? But we also have to be aware of development of chronic conditions such as heart disease and of course osteoporosis. So ang exercise can benefit us, no? Because it can help reduce vasomotor symptoms. Okay, although hindi nga siya ganun ka-conclusive, no? There are various factors that may influence the responses that were noted in the research studies. So definitely, research clearly supports the beneficial effects of exercise for menopausal women related to quality of life and mood. So, in addition, research is very supportive of the benefits of regular exercise for both heart and bone health. So, whether considering potential benefits related to menopausal symptoms or the opportunity to decrease the risk of chronic disease, it is good to make a renewed commitment to increase one's level of physical activity. This is already, a very positive change. Okay, so next. So I think this is our last slide, no? So start your regular physical activity. This is actually the advocacy of the World Health Organization. So regular physical activity, walking, cycling, doing sports will have significant benefits to your health. So let's all be active. Okay, so that's it for my talk. Thank you so much for listening. So
Thank
there.
you.
Hi,
Thank you
Mariggs.
so much. Hi again, Moss. Maraming salamat, no? And I mentioned
Walang
that
anuman.
our friend Molly has a PhD or a Doctor of Philosophy degree. And she also teaches. Nagtuturo ka pa ba, Moss?
Yes, I do.
Oo.
Yeah,
So, si
I still teach
professor din
until.
siya, no? And I have to say that there are just so many takeaways from your lecture. And I could see myself, and as I was listening, I was thinking, it all really is a mind thing primarily, meaning more than the physical aspect of overcoming menopause. A lot of it has to do with our mental, our mindset, no? Kung kaya ba natin ito.
Yes.
And I think that's where the
Mm-mm,
battle really is, no? It's where the battle is
mm-mm.
waged. At doon din nagaganap yung pagkapanalo o pagkatalo. Kasi
Yes.
araw-araw, especially if you had been sedentary, and then
Yes.
suddenly you find yourself going through so many physiologic changes that you mentioned, no?
Yes.
Um,
Mm-mm.
Suddenly, parang for a lot of women, I could say that I know who are at this stage in our lives, parang it's an entirely new thing. Of course, we've heard about exercises all our lives, pero suddenly ito na
Yes.
yon talaga. Gawin na talaga,
Yes.
no? So, more than getting up, it's really the convincing yourself that, oy, this is it. You gotta do it, no? So,
Yes.
no, that's
Yes.
just an additional comment. But we have
Yeah.
questions, Professor Molly.
Okay. Yeah.
We have questions, no? One is that because
Okay.
you enumerated a lot of clusters of activities that may be
Mm-mm.
referred to as exercise in general, the question is that
Yeah.
when does a physical activity qualify as exercise? That's our first question. Halimbawa,
Okay.
ang pagtatalon-talon ba ay like jumping jacks or jump rope or whatever, yan ay physical activity. Yan ba ay masasabi nating ehersisyo na ba yan? Is it an exercise? Or when is there such like, are the rules very specific about it? When do you call a physical activity exercise?
Yeah, that's a very good question, no? But in terms of the benefits, no, of course, physical activity or exercise, as long as you're moving, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's already very important and very relevant. But to
Mm-hmm.
differentiate physical activity, usually iba yung purpose niya kasi sa exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So any movement, so kunwari naglakad ako, bumaba ako ng hagdanan para kumuha ng tubig, I did physical activity. Pero
Mm-hmm.
yung exercise, talaga for the purpose of, usually may time element siya, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Tapos may specific, nagbibilang ka, yung mga
Mm-hmm.
ganon. So, mas
Right.
incidental yung physical activity compared to
And
exercise.
intentional naman yung exercise, no?
Yes,
So
definitely.
again, I think it brings us back to what I was mentioning earlier, that it's a mind thing, because you may be doing
Yes.
something absent-mindedly, moving,
Mm,
pero once you start thinking about, okay, I gotta do this for 15 minutes, and then move up to 20, eventually to 30, like what you were saying in your lecture, or the wall squat, for example, that you will have to endure for a few seconds first time around and work it up to a few minutes, no,
Mm-mm.
in the next week or so. Then I think yung the nature of yun nga being intentional and tracking it and seeing how it affects you,
Yeah.
keeping tabs of
Yeah.
these changes in your body or not, is officially
Yes.
exercise. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Yes.
Then there's another question on CrossFit. Ano daw ba itong CrossFit na ito? Because so many things have popped up. So
Okay,
yeah, so what is CrossFit? Mm-hmm.
CrossFit is basically very high intensity interval training. So
Mm-hmm.
in the recent years, it became quite popular. But I would
Mm-hmm.
really not recommend it, no, for
Menopausal
elderly.
women.
Not really. Well, of course,
Okay.
and usually the younger athletic ones, no,
Mm-hmm.
may mga iba, no, kahit na hindi sila ganun athletic, no, they start slow and then they also get into CrossFit, pero hindi yan pwedeng biglaan. So mind you, not for menopausal women. I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
for someone who has been uh, pretty active, no,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
consistently pagdating sa age na yan, of course, you try to take it a bit slower. No?
Mm-hmm.
So, meron pa rin iba. I think there are a few, no, who challenge themselves, but
Mm-hmm.
they really do work hard at this, no?
Mm-hmm.
Para nagagawa pa rin nila yung mga difficult high intensity interval training
Mm-hmm.
exercises of CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, and finally, uh, our last question for this section, because there will be more later on. How
Okay.
about, yeah? How about swimming? So it's aerobic, right? And what
Yes.
do you think you may consider as like swimming that would have an impact that would, what does it do? Does it just do cardio improvement? Does it have anything to do with bone mass, like accumulation? What benefits, in other
Oh.
words, yeah, can it give you?
Okay, since swimming, no, is done in water, and
Mm-hmm.
dahil buoyant tayo, it's one of those exercises na hindi siya bone, it doesn't load the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically it is considered a cardiovascular exercise, no? So
Mm-hmm.
for your um, heart health, no? And syempre, to a certain extent, yung muscles, depende na rin siguro
Mm-hmm.
sa type of stroke na ginagawa mo,
Mm-hmm.
tsaka yung intensity by which you do
Mm-hmm.
your swimming exercise. So, if
Mm-hmm.
you want to challenge yourself, no, para maging cardiovascular exercise siya, you have to feel na, na nasa moderate intensity ka na. So, parang at
Mm-hmm.
least you can feel that your heart rate is increasing. No? So,
Mm-hmm.
kailangan din iakyat, no, yung
Mm-hmm.
level para sa benefits na makuha
Hindi
natin
yung
from that exercise.
pa-float lang like that. Hindi
Hindi!
pwede yon.
Yung pa-float-float, konting backstroke ng konti.
Oo,
Ganun. Hindi.
ganyan. Konting
That's
kick,
not gonna
ganyan.
work.
Okay. Well, the
Yeah.
reason why I
Okay.
singled out swimming is because, di
Yeah.
ba nga napag-uusapan natin na kasama na dyan sa pagiging menopausal ang mga hot flashes and things like that. So I was
Yeah.
thinking, I'd been listening and I was thinking, oh no, ano kaya yung pwede nating ibenta na parang starter exercise sa mga talagang close to zero activity that women would be attracted to without having to
Mm-hmm.
deal with sweating. Kasi nga, sweaty ka na nga to begin with, di ba?
Mainit ngayon.
So,
Oo. Oo.
mainit. So,
Yeah.
if perhaps we can get them to be interested in mobility by,
Mm.
well, of course, after the pandemic, because as it is, ang hirap na lumabas ng bahay, tapos swimming
Yeah,
pang
that's true.
isa-suggest natin, ano? But, I mean, eventually, if
Mm-mm.
they do come around and they have an opportunity or access, then perhaps as a starter exercise lang muna. Kasi we have to understand also there are women and even men who have really close to zero mobility, and that's alarming, di ba? So parang to
Yes.
get them
Yes.
interested at all, in any kind of activity to get them off their butt, so to speak. Baka naman
Yes.
bumenta ang swimming dahil nga hindi sila masyadong maiinitan. So that's where I was coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And actually, make it a social activity. Like I know
Yeah.
where you are, no. You can, for example, parang may gathering, and then you do the tai chi, you do yoga, you do pilates, and then parang may group na kayo that you meet each other regularly, diba? Then maybe have some breakfast after, or
Isang
anything
bacon,
to
ganyan. Alam ko yung mga
bacon,
yan.
tocino,
Diba?
itlog,
Oo,
siningan.
itlog, ganyan.
I
Only
know.
rice. Ay, nako.
Oh, ano na lang, coffee na lang.
Coffee na lang,
Coffee
dear.
or
Ganyan.
tea. Coffee na lang, dear. So,
After that.
Hi, Maritz.
Hi! Naputol tayo sa kape. Patuloy natin yung ating usapin, yung mga questions.
Okay. All right.
Before that, we are going to show Frankie's video.
Yes.
Yes, doing
Balance exercise.
balance exercise.
Yeah. So I was explaining a while ago, swinging your leg forward and back, and to one side and to the other side. So pwedeng gawin to slowly at first, and then you can increase the speed, do a couple of repetitions of this, to challenge yung balance nga. Balik ka to your center. Yeah. So that's just an example of one. Okay. So
I'm so excited to try it out myself, Nax. Alam mo, I'm really so encouraged, and I'm very bad with follow through. Pero umaalingaw ako sa aking utak yung sinabi mong dapat ay maging persistent. So that's what I'll try, and I'll have to remember to show up for my daily exercises kung saan man yun ako dalahin, and
maybe you can put up a sign, Marigs, like
Right.
in your mirror in the bathroom, put something like galaw-galaw araw-araw.
Yon, mga ganon. Pero alam mo,
Mga
I
para
love that.
mo-motivate.
It's so catchy. It's so easy to remember. I heard myself thinking about it since I heard it from you. So you consider your time here well spent kasi na-encourage talaga ako mo.
That's really good to hear. Yeah. Yun lang naman ang ating objective talaga. To try to promote.
And I'm sure a lot of our listeners, a lot of people who joined us today, I'm sure they all feel as motivated. No?
Yeah, I really hope so.
Yes. So, ayan na si Molly, ang ating model. Meron pa bang mas matagumpay na anong tawag dito na example, no? You can't argue with the success that is Professor Dr. Molly. So let's call him Poi. Dr. Poi has some questions. There you go.
Follow-up questions?
Some additional questions from our audience. Mabot tayo ng 10 this time. And of course, you can continue to view our videos at our YouTube channel and our Facebook group page na Club F at their own convenient time. So ito pa yung tanong. Di ba doon sa lecture mo, Professor Molly, o di ba?
Yes, Dr. Poi.
My doctor na, Doctor of Philosophy, at I'm so amazed at how deep yung discussion mo. You really went down to the hormones. Parang konti na lang mag-molecular level ka pa.
Importante yun, di ba? May science background, di ba?
Yes.
Very important.
And you mentioned madaming pre-med students pala na pick up science. Yeah, I think it's a pre-med subject. What is really meant again by yung sinabi mong the goal of improved health is the intensity of the weight-bearing workout at saka yung level of resistance training. Is there a sort of measure for that?
Um, sorry, what did I?
Sabi mo, the goal,
The
improve health,
goal of improved health.
intensity of the weight-bearing workout, and the level of resistance training.
I think
Can
yung
you,
context, yeah. I think yung context dito is that we should progress. No? Kasi if we keep doing the same intensity or level nung resistance training, kasi yung weight bearing work is the same as resistance training siya. Okay, so if we can already do 20 reps, let's say 20 reps of a certain weight, or kunwari yung body weight mo lang, kaya mo na ng 20 reps comfortably, then you should progress. Kasi actually your body gets used to this work and it ceases to be effective. I mean, it's effective in a way, but then nababawasan na yung effectiveness niya. Kumbaga, because
if
your
we,
body gets used to the work that it's doing.
if we start, Professor Molly, with our body weight, ano yung mga parameters para sabihin natin na, I have to add weight na, I mean, external weight, and how much would you recommend na we start with? Kasi di ba sabi mo, go low and go slow.
So,
Start slow and go slow.
Sabi mo,
Yeah.
pa kami.
Yeah.
Eh, anong weight nung pakilalagay namin?
Kalabaw. Kailangan karga na natin yung kalabaw na kapitbahay.
Yung kanilang binit-bit, no? Sabi ko nga doon, kung may bato, gusto nyo bato, ilagay, okay lang. But yeah, if you can comfortably do 20 reps for 3 sets, so 20, pag malaramdaman nyo, parang, ay, ang dali na, tapos after nung 3 sets nun, parang, parang hindi kayo masyadong challenge, then you start adding the weights. So, you can start with as little as 2 pounds, 4 pounds. It depends on how much you can carry. But, syempre, when you add the weight, hindi nyo pipilitin na mag-20 kayo. You go, ulit, mga 8 to 10. No?
Okay.
8 to 10. Balik kayo ng 8 to 10. And then work
So
up to 20.
you recommend counting, kasi I've seen some exercises na hindi sila nagka-count. Parang in 30 seconds, you do as much as you can. What can you say about it versus yung may count?
Yeah.
Anong
The
difference?
ones that do, yung may time, and then just do as many as you can. That's example of yung how they do HIIT or interval type of training. So, minsan ginagawa yan 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or minsan 1 minute. No? Depende kung gano'n naka-advanced yung gumagawa. So, it's really merong time reference. Yun yung difference niya dun sa more traditional type of resistance training na reps yung binibilang. Reps and sets.
Is that high intensity interval training appropriate for menopausal women, or would you recommend yung traditional na counting reps muna tayo?
Merong medyo yan, maybe some will not agree with me, but I think either one is okay. Either one. Kasi you can do interval training, tapos iiksian mo lang yung time. Diba? And do what you can. No? Listen to your body. If you want to stop kasi sobrang napagod ka na, then just stop. And then later on, try to move dun sa time na gusto mong maabot na 15 seconds muna or 20 seconds. No? You can work towards that later on. Pero kahit for me, kahit traditional or kahit interval training pwede sa age na natin.
So, in your slide, also mentioned na maganda yung combination exercises. So, what combination in particular would you recommend to us sa aming mga backsliders o kaya mga bagong opera? Yung mga ganun ba? People, okay na, okay. Wala. Mabalik na naman sa zero.
Bagong opera.
Oh.
First, before you start exercising again, kung bagong opera, dapat doktor ka naman. So you can clear yourself. Pero doon sa mga hindi doktor, you know, they need to get clearance from their doctor, of course, kung pwede na sila mag-start, di ba? So usually, how long does it take? Depende kung gaano ka-healed na yung sugat. But if you can tolerate yung walking, you just do it as soon as you can tolerate the exercise. And I think weight training should be avoided. Resistance training should be avoided. Kasi parang iiri ka ng konti eh. So that's not good for the stitches, di ba? Once you're fully healed, you can start on the
I
resistance
remember
training.
walking at the
Walking,
150 minutes you mentioned every week. You can divide 10 minutes every day, depende sa'yo. Last question. I saw a beautiful exercise or yoga mat. What is the difference between the two, yoga mat versus an exercise mat? And what specification should we look for? Or if you can recommend a brand so that when we go to the store, we know what we should look for. Thank you.
There's no specific brand na I can recommend for the yoga mat, no. Personally, I just ordered one online and nagkataon naman na maganda yung quality niya. I think what you should look out for, lalo na tayo na medyo pag naluhod tayo sa mat na matigas, 'di ba? Parang bumabalik sa inyo eh, parang aray ang tigas, 'di ba? Sakit sa tuhod, o masakit sa elbows, masakit sa likod. So make sure that you have a mat that maybe is at least a half inch, maybe to an inch thick. Tapos gummy, yung yung nag-absorb siya ng weight, no? So gummy type. And you have to make sure na dumidikit yung kamay nyo at saka yung paa nyo. So, yun yung difference actually yung yoga mats. Some yoga mats are very thin, okay? At kasi kaya na yung pag medyo mas bata pa sila, okay lang na matigas, pero kailangan sticky siya. Kasi when you're doing some stretching or some poses, kung dumulas ka dahil sa pawis, no, you could get injured. So, that is what you have to look out for, yung madikit siya.
Okay.
So, yeah. So basically, a yoga mat is an exercise mat as well. But not all exercise mats can be yoga mats.
Okay. Is there a particular material of the mat that we need to look for? Kasi yung iba I noticed, mabaho. Kaya sabi mo nga na
Lalinisin mo na lang.
Huwag yung ginagamit mong chinelas, huwag yun. Mabaho, amoy goma. Huwag yun.
siya.
I think kung may access sa Toby Sports House o kaya yung mga Planet Sports o kaya Decathlon. In Decathlon, in particular, nakakita ako doon ng mat that is similar to mine. So medyo makapal siya. Tapos gummy talaga eh. So mafe-feel mo parang hindi matigas. Nag-absorb siya ng pressure. So pisil-pisilin yung ganun kung malambot. Most probably that's good for us.
Incidentally, our good friend and very, very matinik na resource person today also designed or choreographed our Club M movement. And we will do that in a bit. Okay, so let me just check briefly if there are any comments or questions. May nag-comment lang, ang formal daw. Gusto nilang kumakaayos.
Ano?
May nag-hello kay Matrix at kay Maurice.
Formal?
May nag-comment na
T-shirt ka lang ako eh.
Hala, okay. At merong nag-walk sa treadmill while watching. O, diba?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Ipagpatuloy.
So, ang take home ko dito yung sinabi mo na the problem with regular exercise is the
Is
word
the word
regular.
regular.
So
Yeah.
we really have to discipline ourselves to stay
Mm.
with our commitment.
Mm.
Di ba?
Commitment.
Parang
Oo.
difficult lang
Disiplina.
eh. Di ba? We have
No?
committed ourselves to help one another, and I'm very thankful that we are already on our third episode, and
Yes.
we are going slow but sure, and continuing to reach out to those in need. Di ba? And hopefully we can impact lives in the very near future. Okay, Maurice, our parting words before, and also from Molly, if you have any last words for our
Yeah, for me,
viewers.
really no excuses. All the information that I need is here, is out there. If there's anything that I missed out on, I'm sure I can always call Molly,
Yes,
email her, ask
definitely.
her further if it's something that really is interested, and I'm interested in. So ayun, kumbaga, wala na talaga. Wala na, napunta na ako sa presinto, nagpaliwanag na ako, narinig na sa narinig ko na, narinig na sa akin lahat ng aking rights at mga dapat gawin. Now is my time to act on it. No? So, of course, the sooner the better, and
Mm.
dailier, kumbaga, the
Yes.
better. And of course, I have to be kind to myself. If I backslide, the best thing is to get back on the saddle the following day or as soon as I can. So thanks very much, Moz. Thank you very much
Yes.
for
You're welcome.
sharing.
Yeah.
Sports science has really evolved so much, and I'm
Yeah.
just so glad to see that you are at the forefront of this in our country. And so keep on, and we wish you all the best, and we're cheering for you, and all the great things that you can still accomplish in this field, and that hopefully more and more women will be reached out to, because it's so. I can just imagine how life changing all these things that you're doing is for a lot of not just women in menopause, but also in all demographics. So thank you.
Thank you also for having me, Marings and Poy. It is also a great opportunity, kasi I've never actually really put anything together about menopause and exercise. No? So, maganda rin kasi, this is an addition to, because I advocate for exercise is medicine. Actually, I think this should be included there kasi menopause can be considered as one of the conditions, di ba? Kaso women nga lang yung nag-undergo
Mhm.
nito, but I think it is still really important, no, para maging informed ang mga menopausal women. No? It takes about 5 to 7 years, even more for some. Okay, talagang it has to be out there as well. And then isa pa na um, it's never really too late to start. Okay, so kung merong na-inspire doon sa mga sinabi ko, o medyo natakot ng konti dahil ay, kung hindi ka nag-exercise, baka ganito mangyari sa'yo, di ba? Well, then, there's no better time, di ba, than now. Okay, so, kesa kung ano pang lumala dyan, no? At least, you can start already. And again, don't forget, start low and go slow. Galaw-galaw, araw-araw. Yun lang. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, as usual, we would like to say maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, especially sa ating special na panauhin, Professor Marla Frances T. Mallari. At syempre, kasama na rin si Frankie Cuerdo, yung iyong daughter na naging model pa at nag-demonstrate ng proper way of doing the exercises. At muli, sa susunod na episode natin, mapapakinggan natin ang isang eksperto naman ukol sa Menopause 101 o yung basics ng menopause. So huwag kalimutan, mag-register po sa ating club and Facebook group para po sa mga anunsyo at ating ipagpatuloy ang pag-uusap doon. Sa muli, mabalos sa Indogabos and Professor Molly. Let's do the club and movement.
Kalimutan mo na kung paano yung ginawa natin.
Okay, everybody.
Bye! Thank you! Thank you!